How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Ju-On shorts. There are two of them. One is entitled Katasumi, which I believe roughly translates to in a corner, and the second one is named after a phone number, so it's called 444-444-4444. These came out in 1998 and were written and directed by Takashi Shimizu and star Takako Fuji as Kayako and Daiki Sawada as Toshio. And these would be the first times that audiences would see the characters made famous by Ju-On the Grudge. So yeah, it's a really interesting story. I'll try to run through it kind of quickly and not be uber technical, but basically what happened is there was a made-for-TV anthology movie called Gakkô no Kaidan G, and it featured two longer shorts that were roughly 30 minutes, and sandwiched between the longer shorts, they invited Takashi Shimizu to make two shorter shorts. These were only about 3 minutes, and that's what we're talking about today. These would be the first times that anyone saw the Grudge characters, and it really is interesting because most of the time characters originate in the big movie everyone knows them for. But before we got to Ju-On the Grudge, we actually had these two shorts from a made-for-TV anthology movie, and then we actually got two direct-to-video or V-Cinema movies, Ju-On the Curse 1 and 2. So we had the shorts, we had the Curse movies, and then eventually we would finally get to Ju-On the Grudge. So yeah, these characters had more work behind them, more, shorts and then direct-to-video movies. They were something that kind of got established and worked with before they got to the big thing everyone knows. And plus, even though they remake imagery, Ju-On the Grudge isn't really a remake of any of the past movies. It's individual, unique characters encountering them each time, so it really is, by the time you get to that first movie, really like the third movie plus the shorts. But that is all that technical stuff aside. The shorts themselves, really good and really interesting. It definitely is a point of leaving you wanting more. You see these two really interesting, really freaky ghosts, but you don't know really too much about them. We don't know their names, we don't know their backstories, we don't know anything about the curse. These are really more character portraits. These are really more an introduction. Hey, this is a cool, creepy ghost I designed. Don't you think it's cool? And it came out of nowhere, and it freaked people out, and because they didn't over-explain anything, audiences wanted more. Yeah, and they would get more. They would get several films more. It's really interesting, this little seed and how much it spawned. I'm going to talk about each of the shorts in a minute, and normally I say no major spoilers, and I'll try to not spoil anything I don't have to, but that being said, two things. One, these shorts are only like 3 minutes long each, so that makes it harder. But two, the characters, the ghost, really are the twist endings for these movies. And that is something that is kind of lost on today's audiences, Because when the original audience saw these in '98, they didn't know what the Ju-On franchise would be. They went in blind, and then when you saw these ghosts come out of nowhere, and this was the first time anyone had ever seen them, that would be super, super freaky. But most people who watch these shorts today are fans of the series, and in turn they know what they're going to see. They want to see the origins for these characters, but if you already know who the characters are, that does, kind of spoil the ending a little bit. But overall, they're really good shorts, and I would definitely recommend watching them. But maybe if you have a friend that doesn't know anything about The Grudge, send these over to them unprompted, because I think that would be very fun. But anyway, these are, at the time of recording, available on YouTube. Several different people uploaded copies of them, so you should be able to find them relatively easy. And even though I'll try not to spoil terribly much, I would definitely recommend going ahead and watching them first. But anyway, the shorts. We have Katasumi. This one is about two girls, and it's summer vacation, but they're assigned to come into this school anyway to feed and take care of the school's pets. And we get to see them taking care of a rabbit, and of course one doesn't want to be there and the other really loves the animals. And when they're almost done with their duties, one of the girls picks up a clipboard and gets a really bad paper cut, like it bleeds and everything. Most paper cuts hurt like heck, but only the really bad ones actually bleed. So the other girl goes in to get a bandage from the nurse and leaves the bleeding friend alone. Well, of course, she's going to come back and find quite the scene. I won't spoil too much of the end, but I will say it's not just a pop out and jump scare. I see so many American short films that are just pop out, jump scare, call it a day. This one, in addition to having the crazy imagery that we know from the franchise, we also get a fair bit of a sequence once she realizes what happens, with a few really cool moments. I, in particular, really like that there's a repeated camera movement. When we see the friend left alone, there's a camera hiding behind a tree, and it walks out to go at the friend, and then that's when it cuts away. And when we see this camera movement repeated when the first girl comes back, we know that something's up. So yeah, it's really cool, and it does have a bit of a sequence at the end, and plus, this is our first time seeing this character. The second short, like I said, it's a phone number. It's called 444-444-4444. In this one, we get a kid on a bike, and he passes by some trash. Inside the trash, he hears a cell phone ringing, and he picks it up. The call is coming from a number that is all fours, which right off the bat looks really strange, but I hear that the explanation for this is that in Japanese, the word for four rhymes with the word for death. They're like really similar, to the point where a lot of people nowadays, I hear, use a different word for four, but basically 4 is like 13 over in the States. You know, it's their unlucky, scary number, and seeing all fours on the phone screen is a bad omen right off the bat. But of course he answers it and tries to explain, hey, this isn't my phone, I found it in the trash, is everything okay? And the person on the other end of the line is not going to be super coherent. We'll hear a few strange sounds, including that of a cat. And if you're fans of The Grudge, we all know what that cat sound effect means. And yeah, this is a really cool introduction to Toshio there. And while this is more of a standard, you know, jump scare creepy moment, it does hold on the interesting ghost design and let us really see just how creepy and crazy it is. Like I said, this is the first time anyone would ever see this ghost design, and yeah, give it a bit to set in. Super, super creepy. But it also does a good job of building up and amping up the tension. You know, the strange phone call going on, seeming weird, and having everything be almost unnaturally still and quiet. There is a shot of a tap going off, just drip, 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 which I almost feel is like the cinematic equivalent of crickets getting everything nice and quiet, just waiting for that breaking of the tension. Overall, though, these were two fun shorts, and I really did like seeing the seed that spawned the Ju-On/Grudge franchise, and we've gotten so many movies now that it's really cool to see where it all began. And like I said earlier, they don't really remake themselves when they went on to do the V-Cinema movies and when they went on to do the theatrical movies. So I believe these are all still canon in this one really big original continuity. And I think it's really fun, and I do want to talk about more Grudge movies coming up, and I just figured have to start at the beginning, and I wanted to talk about these shorts. I know it is a little bit silly talking about the shorts longer than their actual length, but I wanted to say something, you know? Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Asian horror playlist, where you can see me talk about other movies, like Junji Ito's Uzumaki, the movie adaptation of that. I talked about House. I talked about Reincarnation from the After Dark Horror Fest. And I'm definitely up for taking recommendations, so if you guys know any other movies that you think are really cool, feel free to tell me. I'll see if I can get to them. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.